Now, there's a lot of excitement and in some cases fear around artificial intelligence right now. And for good reason. The technology is evolving quickly and it's already starting to reshape how many organizations operate. But if you're not working directly in data or technology, the topic can feel a little confusing and even a bit intimidating. So in this video, I want to explain exactly what AI is, how it actually works, where it's already being used across different industries, and most importantly, what skills you should focus on if you want to stay relevant in an AI-enabled world. So let's start with the basics and explain what AI actually is. Artificial intelligence isn't magic, and it's not a single technology. At the simplest level, it's a way of teaching computers to learn from large sets of data instead of programming them with fixed rules. The easiest way to think about it is like this. Imagine you run a mailroom and every day you receive thousands of handwritten letters. At first, a handwritten 5 might look very different depending on who wrote it, but after looking at hundreds of them, you start to recognize that despite the small differences, they follow a consistent pattern. You don't memorize every version, you learn the general rule behind it. That's exactly what an AI system does. We don't give it the exact rule, instead, we show it a huge number of examples and it learns the rule on its own. Now let's take a closer look at the main types of AI and how they learn. Supervised learning is probably the most common. In supervised learning, you train the model on examples where the answer is already known. For example, a bank might show the system 200,000 transactions, each one labelled fraud or not fraud. The model analyses the labelled examples and learns the difference on its own. Once it's trained, it can look at a new transaction and estimate the likelihood that it might be fraudulent, even if a human has never seen that particular case before. Now, unsupervised learning works slightly differently. In this case, the data has no labels. You're not telling the system what's right or wrong, you're just asking it to find patterns. One example is customer segmentation. A large retailer might give the model millions of transaction records. The model then discovers clusters. Maybe one group buys small items on Fridays, another buys expensive items at the end of the month, and another only buys during sales periods. Nobody told the model what to look for, it uncovered the natural structure by itself. Now, generative AI is another category, and it's the one most people are talking about at the moment. In this case, the model not only finds the pattern, but creates something new based on that pattern. ChatGPT, for example, has read enormous amounts of text from articles, websites, and books. It's built a kind of map of how language works. So when you ask it a question, it generates brand new sentences that have never existed before, but follow the same structure and logic it's seen in the training data. The same is true for image generation. Tools like Midjourney have analysed millions of images. When you ask for a futuristic city in the style of Monet, the model combines what it's learnt from pictures of cities and paintings by Monet and generates a new image that fits that description. Now let's talk about what AI looks like across real industries. In healthcare, AI is being used to analyse medical scans. For example, systems trained on thousands of X-rays are now able to spot small patterns that may indicate early signs of disease. Doctors still make the final decision, but the AI acts as an additional expert, helping them catch things sooner and reduce diagnostic errors. In financial services, AI is already deeply embedded in banking. Fraud detection systems flag unusual behaviour in near real time. Credit risk models now use alternative data such as transactional behaviour and payment history to determine someone's creditworthiness more accurately, even when they have limited credit history. Now, in manufacturing, companies like Siemens and GE use AI for predictive maintenance. Machines are fitted with sensors that constantly send data to an AI model. When the model detects a change that looks similar to the early stages of a past failure, it triggers an alert, often weeks before anything actually breaks. In retail and marketing, companies like Amazon and Netflix use AI to recommend products and content. The model looks at what you've watched or bought in the past, compares it to people who behave like you, and suggests something you're statistically likely to enjoy. In legal and professional services, some law firms use AI to review contracts by comparing them to thousands of other agreements. It identifies unusual clauses or missing terms so that lawyers don't have to read every page manually. So the key takeaway is that AI is already being used broadly across industries. And in most cases, it doesn't replace people, it supports them. It automates the repetitive, pattern-based tasks so that humans can focus on higher-level work. Now let's move on to the part that matters most: how to stay relevant in an AI-driven workplace. If AI is able to automate pattern recognition and repetitive decision-making, what should we focus on so that we remain valuable? Well, there are 3 very practical things you can do, regardless of your industry. The first one is to start learning with the technology. You don't need to build your own models, but you should become familiar with AI-enabled tools. Try asking ChatGPT to draft the first version of a document. Use built-in analytics features in tools like Power BI or Tableau. The more comfortable you get using AI as a co-pilot, the easier it becomes to see where it can genuinely add value. The second one is to invest in unique human skills. AI is excellent at learning patterns, but it's still very poor at reading social signals, understanding context, building trust, negotiating trade-offs, or exercising judgment. So focus on skills like communication, creativity, stakeholder management, and critical thinking. These are much harder to automate and therefore become even more valuable in an AI-enabled world. And the third one is to learn how to interpret and apply AI outputs. A model can produce a prediction. For example, this customer has a 72% chance of churning. But someone still needs to ask, why is that the case? What does it mean? And what action should we take? People who can connect the dots between model output and business action will be in the highest demand. So if someone in your organization asks you, what is artificial intelligence? A simple answer is this. AI is a system that learns from very large volumes of data, recognizes patterns, and uses those patterns to help us make better decisions or generate new content. And if they ask whether they should be worried about it, the honest answer is that you don't need to be worried, but you do need to start working with it because it's becoming a core part of how work gets done. Now that brings me to one final question, and it's worth thinking about. What is the one part of your current job that could become faster or easier if AI supported you? And what's one part that will always require your experience, judgment, and human insight? This is usually the best starting point for figuring out how you fit into an AI-enabled future. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more videos just like this one. If you're keen to learn more about technology, be sure to check out the industryportal.com link in the description below. Thanks so much for stopping by, and as always, keep growing, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next video.